So when it comes to football shirt sponsors, we've all had that sort of affiliation with a sponsor more than the shirt or the club. Like we actually fall in love with the sponsor design element than the shirt sometimes. I know a lot of people love the Pirelli more than Inter Milan. I think when it comes to iconic sponsorships or even just logos at the front of the shirts, it does make or break a football shirt. And now, I know off the top of my head, I could say to you, you know, a certain brand and you will instantly tie it back to a football club. For example, Carlsberg, you think of Liverpool. If I was to say, you know, Vodafone, you think of United. And there's brands now, you know, sort of slowly becoming that. You know, we think of Three, we think of Chelsea. But there's going to be a bit of a change coming up, and recently in the podcast with Paul Between Two Shirts, we spoke about the fact that betting sponsors are going to be no more in the Premier League and maybe across the entire world. Now, we do see issues in Serie A where they're having the problems of, you know, removing the green kits, and then of course Venezia not even able to show Venezia and their badge on the shirt because of a dual sponsorship of the city, so it could be classified as a tourism ad. But there's a lot of things in the future that are going to change the way we see these shirts. But today's episode is going to be based on a Cult Kits blog post, which this is the start, and I think the first one of many where I'm collaborating with Cult Kits, one of the biggest supporters alongside Ultra Football of this channel, where we're going to be talking about, you know, certain things when it comes to football shirts. And today's episode is the top 10 food shirt sponsors. Now, in no particular order, of course, this is going straight off the blog post, and we're talking about the shirt sponsors, the ones that are iconic. Of course, we definitely have missed one or many, but I've actually thought of some, and my one that I'm going to mention straight off the bat, number one, is a funny one because we do have this club in Australia called Melbourne Victory. I'm not, you know, particularly a fan of that club, but they had this contradicting sponsorship sort of scenario. I'm not sure if they still have it, but they had KFC on the side, which we all know and love. But then they had this Fat Blaster sort of fit sort of diet thingy on the other side. So it was competing, contradicting, really confusing. So that was my shout out. They had KFC and then they had the opposite, you know. So it's like, eat your food, then yeah, go shit your food. But these sponsorships are more iconic. Now, the first one is the Mars bar chocolate sponsorship on the NRE Napoli shirt that Diego Maradona wore. Now, this one here is iconic just because of that shirt that he's wearing in this photo, or many of the photos, is purely wool. It's iconic, but I personally would have loved to have watched this era of football. I personally would have loved to have photographed this era of football. I think everything about this would have been elegance. I love this shirt. I think everything about this shirt is beautiful. I think this man is beautiful. I may rest in peace, but like that Mars sponsorship on that shirt is just elegance. I don't think we ever would be able to see that. I think competing brands now alongside Cadbury would be a bit difficult. I know Cadbury probably has their own sponsorships elsewhere around the world, but the Mars sponsorship is definitely one that I think is iconic, and I think that if it was in order would be number one on this list. Number two, and this one is something that a lot of people around the world would not know of, but I think more sort of the UK, US and Australia would know it as Chupa Chups. Of course, there's probably different names around the world, but Sheffield Wednesday, I do have one of their shirts with the Sanderson sponsorship. So this club has had some iconic sponsorships. The Chupa Chups one, now, yeah, this one here, it's a classic one. It doesn't look well on the shirt, but it's iconic. So that's definitely one in the list. Now, it wouldn't be Serie A without a mention of pasta. I know it's not Kevin Lasagna, but it is Barilla, a pasta brand that we all know and love. Again, I'm gonna probably say that a lot because I love food, but it's the Roma shirt that Adidas had. And this is probably one of my favorite shirts. I recently did speak to Paul about Totti and some of the shirts that he's worn, and this is the one that if I was not an Inter Milan diehard, I would have owned. I think Roma have some of the best shirts, and I really want to do a piece on their logo. That wolf is iconic. and that V-neck is just one of the best ones. But it's the Barilla sponsorship on here, the type font, everything about this one here is iconic, and I do love this one, and I think this is definitely a great add to the list. If you haven't, make sure to follow CULTKITS and Talking Shirt on Instagram. Definitely check out both of us. CULTKITS will have some new shirts online as soon as possible, but if you ever want to check out some of their blog posts, just go on the website, and on the top right corner is the blog page, so click through and have a read. Now up next is Coleman's. Now I personally am from Australia, so we don't have this brand, or we may have the brand here in Australia, but I know what it is. It's a mustard brand or some sort of sauce brand. So again, for all you UK watchers and listeners, forgive me, don't judge me, but I'm sure you don't know what Vegemite is. Of course you may call it Marmite, but that's just a terrible brand name. And look, looking at this shirt now, I think Norwich shirts are beautiful. There have been some ugly ones over the time, but yeah, Coleman's a great sponsorship. Now, Guitar Fair with Burger King. I know Burger King had this amazing partnership with Stevenage. I'm not sure if they're still there, but they had this beautiful collaboration with their women's team where they had Burger Queen. I don't mind one of their angry onions, I think. So yeah, look, it's a great one. But I think this shirt here that CULTKITS have chosen is when you flipped it inside out, you can see the Burger King himself. I think it's probably one of the shittest sponsorships I would have seen internally, because if a player did that, I definitely would dislike him forever. Now this is one of the most iconic ones. Of course, the Palmer one made it infamous, but I think there was, one shirt for the team here in Australia, the Brisbane Strikers. They did have Parmalat alongside the same colorway as Palmer. Of course, if you're not a fan of Australian football, we did have the NSL, which was based on ethnic minorities, and that one was, I think, purely based on Parma or Italians of the region. Forgive me and please correct me if I'm wrong, but it is an exact copy of that shirt that Parma is wearing in this photo. But Parmalat, they were across the world. They were literally one of the biggest sponsors. If not, I think they were the past version of Fly Emirates, and I think they are one of the best sponsorships. I don't know if they're still around as a football shirt sponsor, but if you do have come across one of their shirts at the moment, please let me know in the comments below, because I definitely would love to own one of them. And I think if I was to buy one of them, it would be the Palmer white one with the sponsorship on the shirt as a blue. I love that shirt. I did have it, but I sold it recently. I kind of regret it, but Palmer, definitely a great addition to this list. Now this one's a bit of a weird one. It's not purely a food brand or major company. It's basically just food on a shirt. We've seen these a lot. We've seen them on sale everywhere. I think they're basically the Hall of Shame. But yeah, look, I would not be seen on the street wearing a shirt or a kit full of beans or peas or whatever it is. I think the one with the pastrami or the meat. But if I was to see someone running around with meat on their shirt, I would not want to be seeing someone walking around looking like a torn apart piece. That is just for the sci-fi movies, so keep it in that. I love me a sci-fi, but definitely do not want to be seen in a shirt full of meat. That is horrible. Do as you please. I think there's no judgment, but I would not be seen in that shirt. That is horrible. The next one is the most iconic one for me, the Pizza Hut sponsorship on the Fulham shirt. I think this one here is definitely a holy grail for a lot of my friends out there. I think Brandon from Semi-Pro Potty loves this one, and I think he owns it. If he does, I definitely will steal it off you, mate. But this is one of the most iconic ones. Pizza Hut being a great brand for us as children of the 90s. So definitely one that I would love to have. And if you do have it, well done. The next one is Walker's Crisps. I think we call them chips down here in Australia, but I think our branding is different. I think they're called Thins or Lays. Forgive me again, like there's so many different brands that cross-reference each other across the world. I think if you go over to New Zealand, they're a total different name again. But the Walker sponsorship is iconic. I think this one on the list, the shitty shirt, is definitely one of my favorites. I think the Walker's branding was so simple but elegant, and I think if it was around today's times, it would be a great one on any football shirts. Now, like your last one, actually fits perfectly with the shirt and club of choice. Wolverhampton Wolves having the Doritos sponsorship. This Doritos logo that they use on this shirt has to be one of the most iconic alongside Pizza Hut. But yeah, I think the Doritos branding has sort of died down in the recent years. I remember when they released those 3D shaped versions with full of flavor. They were the weirdest, or ghost chips or something. They were the weirdest branding at the time. But I think Doritos will make a comeback, hopefully. I do miss the branding for corn chips. I think Mission chips are the best ones, just to plug out there. But Doritos sponsorship on this shirt is iconic, and I just realized that they had Admiral shirts, so a great combination there. I think this one here is probably one of my favorites wool shirts of the time. I've seen a lot. So yeah, if you have seen any other Dorito shirts, let me know, because I would love to own one of them. I think this is definitely another one that I would add to my list of football shirts with food sponsorships. Well, there you have it. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Have you seen any food sponsors on a shirt? If you have, let me know in the comments below. And of course, if you are after any other blog posts or any other stories to read, new kits or old kits, definitely check out Cult Kits. They are big supporters of this channel. And as always, I am getting really excited to create more podcasts and episodes, so make sure to follow me on Instagram as Talking Shirt. Make sure to find me on Reddit, and make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, because I will upload 3 episodes a week, and if we can get many subscribers on this channel, my wife will let me record more episodes. And as always, please stay safe, stay away from stupid people, and I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you and goodbye.